Welcome to another episode of Patmore Speak Politics. This is a program that I use to encourage the fellow councillors and caretakers and let them know that as Jamaicans, we really appreciate them and want them to know that we're happy that they take up the mantle and decide that they want to participate in our political system. This is our third week, and this week I'll be touching on different topics, but it just come to me not too long ago that I should remind you that if you want to become a politician, it's not something that come up overnight. I would encourage you to get involved in your community. Don't wait until when you're ready. There's an opening to represent. That's the time you want to push out and show people that you will be there for them and anything like that. There are community youth clubs. You have to get involved in the youth clubs in your community. You have church groups. It's important that you, with youth fellowship, men's fellowship, women's fellowship, any one of those groups, very good for you to be involved in. There's also neighborhood watch groups. If you aspire to be a politician in your community, I think one of the good thing and easiest thing to do is to start a neighborhood watch group. Right there, at least you'll get the persons in your immediate community to know you. Because you can imagine you're running as a politician and your neighbors don't know you. It's the time that when you're going to ask them for vote, that's the time that they're going to meet you for the very first time. That's not a good look. And youth clubs, you can start up a youth club in your area, in your community. It's all of those things are very, very important. Youth clubs, and one of the things that is really short in Jamaica right now is service as a justice of the peace. Every year, every month, the Minister of Justice have been asking persons to volunteer to be a justice of the peace. Most of the time, the same persons that want to become a politician, want to become a councillor, want to become an MP, they are asked and they say they don't have the time. But if you don't have the time to be a justice of the peace, how is it that you're going to find the time to be a member of parliament or a councillor? Think on those things. I think you want to become a councillor, there's always an opening. There's always an opening to become a justice of the peace. If you're qualified to be a councillor, I would expect that you should be qualified to be a justice of the peace. And in Jamaica right now, we short a justice of the peace right across the board. All parishes. So we invite you and we say, send in your application and go up as a justice of the peace. And as I mentioned, the neighborhood watch groups, very important. Nice group to start off with. So get involved. There's nothing like networking. You have to make people know you. Those are the persons that you can ask for contributions and all of those things. Network. You have to go back to your old school, your primary school, link up back with your primary school, your early school, your high school. Go on those school boards. Be a part of the past student association. Get people to remember who you are. That's when you're ready to run, people will already know of you. And for most councillors, most council division, if you can find 15 to 1,000 votes, 2,000 votes, you're almost safe to run in any one of these divisions. Otherwise, one might be a Tivoli Gardner or one of those garrison divisions. So You might don't make it this time around in the next election, but I beg you, don't run away. Most persons fail because as soon as they lose, they run away and then their party, or if they're going to run independent, every time they keep have to start all over again. So if you lose this time around, you have to stay with the people and try to create a base, especially if you're running as an independent councillor. It's not easy. It will never be. It won't be easy. So if you fall short, you have to learn from that. What causes us to fall short? Because remember, in all elections, only 33% persons come out and vote. That means you have 67% that don't vote. And I think most of the time, those are the persons that you really need to go out and find. Because the 33% that go out and vote already, they already make up their mind who they're going to vote for. It's compulsory when a man, maybe I'm a friend and he will say, all right, I'm going to vote for Mr. Patmore. So then we bypass the party. But most of the time, they will even tell you, you and them will even be friends, but they will tell you that when they go behind the screen, when they go behind there, they will vote for their party. When they see you, they will tell us, yes, then they vote for you. But when you add up, most of the time when you add up the PDs and the counts, you will realize that a lot of the persons that tell you that they will vote for you, never vote for you. Even though they come out smiling and say, yes, Mr. Patmore, I'm your friend, I'm you may vote for. Most of the time, they're not telling the truth. So there's a 67% of persons that don't go out and vote. You need to find at least half of those persons, at least 33% of those persons. If you go to them and talk to them on a one-on-one basis, they will vote for you. Most of the time is because voting most of the time is personal, especially for councillors. It's a personal thing. So you check a man will say, yes, Mr. Patmore, they can't check me, I'm a stamp, they can't check me, so I'm going to vote for him. So bear those things in mind. This week I want to look at some of my memorable moments in politics. And I take out 5 interesting ones that always rest on my mind. And my number 1 is Brascoli. That's one of the person that introduced me to politics. And as I always watch the way how we live, and it always I see something, quite a few things when I was around Brascoli that really sometimes it left me traumatized. But one main thing that I always remember right through my politics time. I remember one evening we went on the road to do some house to house. And I remember I was the driver, and Mr. Lee and around 2 other persons leave out, and we got to the house to house. Reached back home around at Brascoli house around 10 o'clock. When we reached there in Alside, there may be around I would guess maybe around 20 or so men out there waiting for him, waiting for the boss to come. And they start to cook at that time, and start to drink, and they start to smoke then cigarette. Because Mr. Lee was a smoker. And he would buy the cigarette by the pack and 2-pack, 3-pack. But I remember leaving at 11 o'clock that evening in the night. And he said, Paul, come pick me up around 7 o'clock. And I remember 7 o'clock in the morning when I drive up to Mr. Lee's house and pick him up. There was at least 15 or so men inside the room. Like they were just talking for the entire night, and some of the man them lay down on the floor. There was a settee inside the room, and we might be around 3 men in the settee there. So Two in a one chair over the corner there, so one three lay down on the floor. Two we sit down at bed foot right at the bed foot and drop asleep right there. So. I say, and right through my time, I tell you that you see the crowd of man was end up in the man bedroom for the entire night. Just did their chat politics. And when you look on Salih face, even eye them, you can see under the bottom of my eye them swell. Because the man them have him a chat for the whole night and sit down on him bed. When you go, any given day you go, and most of those persons will tell us that Mr. Lee was the best MP Trelawney has ever seen. And when you ask them why, because that was a man now, when they go check Mr. Lee, they sit down all on him bed. Man just asleep, Mr. Lee. When I tell Mr. Lee is sick and in the bed there, a man sit down, all three men sit down over the side of the bed, two down at the bed foot. And I have to say, wow. And when we realize it's just because he was a single man. And that's one of the pressure where single men go through in politics. Single men go through that in politics. I think it's very, very important. Young councillors, it's important no matter what people want to say. I know say the woman them get trouble, they get headache. But as a councillor or a politician, if you don't have one of them to take off some of the burden off of you some of the time, I can tell you, it will be a hard mountain to climb. You go through as a councillor or an MP without a woman, and the woman not stay like you. The woman almost have the opposite. She not involved in a politics. If she not even love politics, might be her best thing. Because if them not did if you take off some of the pressure for you, man, them can't sit down on your bed right through the entire night. And then they say, yeah man, a good counsellor man, I hope they will sleep. I hope they will there. And we are him did it. And by the time you burn half a cigarette, one man say if you give him a jar, you have to give him. And then sit down and talk foolishness for the whole, and you not get no rest. You know, so that always, just the way how the people pressure Mr. Brascoli. Pressure him. Them feel say good them are doing. And then talk say man with my friend and then get personal. Yeah. So Brascoli was one of my mentors when I learned from. I know say that's the type of life that I don't want to live as a politician. So I beg all of you young politicians out there, look around you. You won't live long enough to make all the mistakes for yourself. Look on some of the mistakes that other politicians out there make. One thing again I remember about Mr. Lee, and I will always talk about him, he's deceased now, but one of the good, he has a good heart, but he was abused by the people. I remember I think it was 97, we were in NDM, we were at NDM. We were campaigning for the election, NDM election. And Mr. Lee never have much money, but I know that he told me that he sold a property. I think it was Kingston or Portland, somewhere. And we watched that money go down the drain. And who feel it? Just the one man. One man have to bear that burden. One man bear that burden. And for the entire time, I can't remember nobody ever make any contribution to Mr. Lee at that time. You have to do that all by himself. I remember one time I seen sister come. And you can see she was so upset. She was upset. Just the treatment, just the Yeah, just to see the amount of persons that's sitting on the man bed. I know that your sister was really upset at that time, but that's one of the things that's helped me to go through my term as a counselor because I use him as a template and said that's the type of thing that I don't want to happen to me. So long live Mr. Lee. He always been always in my memories. I always remember him. And number two on my list now. At one time, when I think that really stuck with me too. One time I was doing house to house when I was a counselor now. And I remember myself and I think it was Fina that accompanied me on that walk. And I remember seeing a little house and a man stopped me and said, "Come in, man, come take a look." And if the man face look happy, but he have kids, I know that he have maybe around 4 or 5 kids there, have his wife. And he carry me in the house. And I said, "Mr. Patmore, yes, I may live, man." It was a one room. And when he said to me, say, "Man, see bed lean up on your son. See at daytime, we lean up the bed. That's the picnic them and the missus can walk up and down in the place. And when night come, we drop it down." And it's a thing when hit me that day. And I had to just cut it short right there. I just call it a day, call it the walk. I have to stop. And I can tell you that I cried straight from that era, straight to Christiana that day. I cried for around 7 miles. Because I never even realized that there were still persons living that way. And I want to say to you, counselors out there and wannabe counselors, if you're not feeling that like a passion about people, you're going into the wrong thing. It's going to be a burden to you. It's going to be tiring. It's going to feel like you have to work. If you start to enjoy it, like you start to feel the people, feel the pain of the people, you will find that it's not even work. You just feel like you're doing something good. When you go home, you're going to sleep so well. When you go home, you'll sleep like a baby. But if you're going inside of it for money, and then when you see the needs of people, it don't mean nothing to you. Money will never fulfill your needs. Because for counselors, there's no money. Just a small thing. So if you're not feeling it for the people, if you don't have that passion to help people, I beg you, leave it alone. Because it's going to stress you out. And that man, that family, I always have them in my mind, and right across Jamaica, there's a lot of persons like that. You see them on the road, but you don't know their story. If you ever stop for them tell you. But you have to be genuine for people to come to you and share their story with you. So you have to put yourself in that position where people can trust you and believe in you. And believe so you will try to do something. Most of the time you don't expect so you can build a house, but what they expect you to do is to see if you can represent them to go to food for the poor or find means to assist. So that's my number 2. Number 3 is a funny one because I want to share it with the counselors because I remember one day a young man asked me for a tin of carrot seed. The carrot seed costs $750. And I never have any in the vehicle. So I say, yeah man, come by the funeral home, I'll get you a tin of carrot seed. Carrot seed is for $750 now. But where he live, he have to pay $200 to come to my place. And he will have to find $200 to go back. So $400 gone already. When he reached to my place, I wasn't there. There's a little shop next door in my business place. So he go up there. And I was stand up at the shop. He decide to say I buy a drink. And he buy a drink for him and his friend them. The bill come to $1,500. Remember, the carrot seed when come and ask me for is $1,500. It's $750 for it. And already now he spent $1,700 already. Plus $200 to go home, so it will cost him $1,900 right there. And I come and I give him a tin of carrot seed. And he was so excited. So Patmore the best counselor I ever know. $700. But it cost him $1,900 to pick it up. And I always have that in my mind. And I remember, because most of the time you see somebody might walk up to you and ask you for something. You might drive on at a bar and a man say, buy a drink. I can bet you, worse for the Manchester, any one of these rural communities, majority of the time, 8 out of 10 times, these persons have money in their pocket. It's just a habit people just believe, say, as long as they see them politician, he must ask them for some. But most of the time, they can buy them drink if they really want. And that man, he spend $1,900 to come collect a $750 carrot seed. So as councillors, they're going to have to do a lot of that to deal with. But just not pay that no mind, just do it. Do what you have to do. That's one of the third thing where stuck in my mind. One of my favorite is a little community down by Alside. When I go into politics, people tell me, say, you need to go on a shit lane. I say, one lane, there was a lane named Shit Lane. I mean, somebody might just call the name. So for over 50 years, the name of that street was Shit Lane. Shit Lane. So nice houses. The road was in a deplorable condition. So when I became a councillor, the first thing I do, I said, I know no street can't in my division named Shit Lane. And I sit down, we spoke to the mayor and the superintendent of road and work, and I said, we have to change his name. And they advised me what to do. And I build sign away, meet with the people and tell them, so we're going to name the district Silver Street. And there's no bigger joy. Whenever I drive past, every single day I drive past, I have to look on the sign. The sign is now Silver Street. And you can see the difference. And in the community, the people different. People just used to look down on the persons. Just because of they holding the name of the community, people used to look down on that community. That's why I believe that name have a lot to do with districts and communities. And as a councillor, sometimes you go in a them community and you have some name, find ways to try change the names. We have to try and change the names. To change how people think, we have to use our influence to encourage people and get them to start thinking different and start living different, believing in themselves, uplift themselves, push themselves We have to go around and try encouraging. My favorite now is that water project that I do in Lower River. A lot of persons say, yes, I'm a Patmore project, but it's really a community project. It's really a community project. It's the persons in our community look at me and say, Mr. Patmore, there is a spring above the community. It was around 3,000 feet from the community doing. And then they tell every politician about it. Man come it will cost 20 million, some say 40 million for the water to come on the road. And I remember that time I don't win it, Campaign. And God send that to me. Send the people and come tell me about it. I spend around 160,000 by some domestic pipes. And I run the 3,000 feet of pipes from up that spring come to the main road. And it was when I became councillor now, we write proposals and so. And through RADA, we get some assistance. We spend over $2 million to improve the pipes and so. But it was just around between 100 and 160,000 we used to start that project. And today, as we speak, there's over 20 trucks come and catch water every single day to go out and sell. Over 20 of them. So, if you really need to do good in your community, you can do it. Just believe in yourself. Find something that when you leave, it will be left there that people will always call your name. The name Paul Patmore will always have to call in a Trelawney. And I work on that. So, brethren, work hard, stay strong, be honest with yourself. Family is very important. We're going to talk some more next week on family and the importance of having a wife to go home to. When you're done campaigning at the evening, you might finish 10 o'clock, you want a wife to come down, come make a cup of tea here. So that like a single man thing there, most of the time it stress you out to make work harder. When you have a woman, most of the time I do my secretary. Any councillor or MP wife will tell us say at them do most of the working. The wife them. I'm not sure about the husband them. The husband them do a lot of grounds work too. When they wife are MP or councillor. But I can tell you for the men them, all of the writing, all of the this, all of the that, the women them. Most of the time we don't give them a props. But I just say thing there. So see you next week with another topic. Bless up.